everyone, and welcome to the part 2 of the Charming project. In this video, we're gonna make this Charming tote bag. So this tote bag is measuring 14 inches wide by 11.5 inches tall. It comes with magnetic snap closure, some pockets inside, so we've got one zipper pocket and 3 slip pockets as well. This is a simple tote bag, yet it's really pretty. Now the next project that we're gonna make in this video is this Charming wristlet clutch. The measurement of this clutch is about 11 inches by 6 inches. It's so cute and so pretty, and of course will make an awesome gift as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and without further ado, let's get started. For the patchwork of this tote bag, you will need 16 pieces of the charm pack. What we're gonna do, we're going to cut each of them in half. So I'm going to stack 4 at a time. You can do more or less, totally up to you. Position them straight on the cutting mat, just like that. This way it's easier for you to do the measuring. Now with your ruler, measure 2.5 inch and cut. Now go ahead and do the same with the rest of the charm packs. So here I've got all 16 pieces of the charm packs already cut in halves. Alright, so here's the layout for the front exterior shell. So at the very top you will have the accent strip, and then at the second row you will have 8 pieces of the half charm packs, and the same applied for the third and the fourth row as well. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start sewing, starting from the first row. I'm going to sew 2 panels at a time using chain piecing method. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to put a fabric clip on my very first panel. This way I won't get confused. Now I'm going to take the first and the second panel, lay them right side together, and then sew with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. And then without cutting the thread, I'm going to grab the third and the fourth panels, lay them right side together, and then continue on stitching. And then I'm gonna go on and grab the fifth and the sixth panels and do the same. And then now I'm gonna stitch the last 2 panels. Alright, now I'm gonna grab my very first block, the one with the very first panel, this one right here. And then I'm gonna take the second block, the one right below it, and then cut the thread. Now I'm going to sew them together with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Now I'm gonna go ahead and grab the third and the fourth blocks and then sew them together. Obviously guys, you don't have to follow this way. You can simply sew them one at a time. Just do what feels more comfortable for you. Alright, now I'm going to sew these 2 panels together. And there you go. Now go ahead and press the seams. Ideally you want to press the seams towards opposite direction. For example, if you press the seams of this row towards the right, you're going to press the seams of the next row towards the left, and vice versa. Now go ahead and sew the next row. Alright, now we're going to sew all the rows together. So starting from the first and the second row. Of course, we're going to sew this with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Now I'm gonna go ahead and sew the third and the fourth rows together. Since I pressed the seams of each row towards opposite direction, it's very easy to match the seams or nest them together. As you can see here, I match the seams as I go. If you're more comfortable with pinning, you can go ahead and pin them first before you sew. Alright, here I've got my front exterior fabric ready to go. Now it's time to work on the back exterior. So lay out your fabric just like shown here. So you'll use the 8 remaining half charm pack panels plus the top and the bottom accent fabrics. Now I'm gonna go ahead and sew starting from the half charm pack panels. Alright, now that you've done sewing the front and back exterior pieces, go ahead and apply interfacing of your choice. I used the very same interfacing, the combination of the Fusible woven interfacing and the Fusible Fleece. In this case, I use the Thermalon, which is the denser fleece. This will give the bag a lot of body, yet it's still in the softer side and still easy to sew. If you want more structure for your tote bag, I recommend use like foam stabilizer. The Soft and Stable brand is one of the great one. Also, you can use Peltex. That is very firm. That's really gonna make your bag a lot more rigid. Alright, now I'm gonna go ahead and quilt these pieces in simple horizontal wavy lines. Now we're gonna work on the strap pieces. So here I've got mine already fused with the fusible woven interfacing that I place right on the center. I cut my straps 26 inches long, but you can do longer or shorter depending on your preference. And since the fusible woven interfacing is cut smaller, you should have half an inch gap on both ends of the straps and 1 inch gap on both sides. Fold the strap in half and then press. Now open the fold and then fold the edges towards the center fold and then press. And then fold everything in half and then press. Now stitch along the edges with 1/8 of an inch of seam allowance. Alright, here I've got both of my straps ready to go. Now we're going to attach the strap to the exterior fabrics. So here I've got my front exterior shell. Now I'm going to count 2 panels, and then right where the seam is, I'm going to align the edges of my strap just like shown here, and then place a fabric clip to secure that in place. And I'm going to do the same with the other end of the strap. Then go ahead and stitch along the edges with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Now you want to repeat the same with the back exterior piece. Draw 2.5 inch squares on each bottom corners of the back and then cut. Once you've got your front and back exterior pieces ready to go, it's time to assemble them. Now you want to lay them right side together and then secure them in place with some fabric clips, matching up the seams of the first accent strip and the first patchwork panel as well. And then sew the sides and the bottom as well with 1/2 inch of seam allowance. Now we're going to box the corners, so go ahead and open up the corner and then match the seams, place a fabric clip to secure them in place, and then go ahead and stitch with 1/2 inch of seam allowance. And you should end up with something like this. Now you may turn this inside out to see how it looks so far. Alright, looking great. Now we're gonna set this aside and move on and work on the lining. Here I've got 2 lining pieces cut exactly the same size as my exterior pieces. Now we're gonna work on the slip pockets. So prepare your pocket pieces and then you're going to lay them right side together and then stitch the top and the bottom with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Once you've done that, go ahead and press the seams open. Then you want to turn your pocket inside out and top stitch along the top edges. Lay your pocket piece on top of your lining piece about 3 to 4 inches down from the top. And then you're going to divide this pocket into 3 slots. Simply measure 6.5 inch from both sides and then draw the line to mark them. Then sew on the mark lines and the bottom as well. So here I've got my pockets already sewn in place, and don't worry about the sides here, it's gonna get stitched anyway with the side seams. Next you're going to attach the zipper pocket and the magnetic snap closure as well. Now since I've already shown how to do this in many different videos, so what I'm gonna do, I'm going to link partials of video. Simply follow the exact same instructions and steps. I will have the links in the description box and the comment section below as well. So go ahead and check them out if you need the tutorial for the zipper pocket and the magnetic snap as well. Now you want to assemble the lining pretty much the same way as the exterior pieces. However, leave about 4 to 5 inches of opening at the bottom to turn this back inside out later. Now it's time to assemble the bag. First, I want to turn my exterior shell wrong side out and then keep the lining right side out. Insert the lining into the exterior shell. So you want to make sure that the right side of the lining and the right side of the shell should be touching each other. And of course, the back side of the lining should be facing the back exterior and the front side of the lining should be facing the front exterior. Now I'm gonna secure them in place with some fabric clips, starting from the side seams and then make my way around it. Once everything is secure, go ahead and sew all around with 1/2 inch of seam allowance. Since I'm using my walking foot and it is quite chunky, I move my needle all the way to the left and use the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance instead to avoid getting in the way with the magnetic snap. Once you've done sewing, you want to pull your lining out and then turn the back inside out through the opening hole. Now I'm going to use my hera marker to press the edges. You can also use iron on low setting. And once everything is nice and neat, go ahead and top stitch all along the edges. You may use 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch of seam allowance, whatever you are more comfortable with. Once you've done that, you want to pull your lining out, find that opening hole, fold the raw edges in about 1/2 inch, and then sew along the edges with about 1/8 of an inch of seam allowance. When you're done sewing the opening hole, tuck your lining back inside and voila, your tote bag is done. Prepare the remaining 6 charm packs and then cut them in halves just like when making the tote bag. Then you're going to lay out 6 half charm pack panels with the accent strip as well, just like shown here. Then go ahead and sew the patchwork, of course with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. And I'm gonna do this pretty much the same way when I piece the patchwork for the tote bag. And then go ahead and sew the accent strip, also with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Alright, now you want to make another one exactly the same like this. And then the same as all the projects, I interface them with the fusible woven interfacing first, followed with the fusible fleece. And of course the fleece is cut 1/2 inch shorter to reduce the bulk at the top. Again, I'm gonna quilt this with simple horizontal wavy lines. To make the strap anchor, you want to cut a piece of 2-inch square. Then you want to do the typical strap making, so you're going to fold this in half and press, and then fold the edges towards the center fold and then press, and then fold everything in half and then press. And once you've done that, go ahead and stitch along the edges with 1/8 of an inch of seam allowance. So you should end up with a tiny strip measuring 2 inch by 1/2 inch. Now take your D-ring, this should measure 1/2 inch, and then insert the strap anchor through the D-ring, just like that. Place the strap anchor on the right side of your front exterior, right on the seams of the accent strip, just like that. Now I'm going to secure that in place with a fabric clip, and then stitch with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Cut 2 lining pieces exactly the same size as your exterior pieces, and then prepare your zipper. Your zipper should be measuring at least 13 inches long. Lay your front exterior right side up and then lay the zipper right side down with the zipper pull at your left hand side, and then lay the lining piece right side down. Make sure that all the edges are aligned. Now secure everything with some fabric clips, and then go ahead and stitch along the edges with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Now I'm going to unzip this first before I get started so the zipper pull will not get in the way. Again, I'm using my walking foot since this is my personal preference. Obviously you may use regular presser foot or zipper foot if you have one. Now open the sandwich and then press the edges. You can either use hair marker or iron, and then go ahead and top stitch. So I use the same setting like before, so simply move my needle all the way to the left and then use this little hole at the leg of my walking foot as the gauge. Now if you're using a regular presser foot, you can simply use the edges of the presser foot as the guide. So move your needle all the way to the left and then use the edges of your presser foot as the gauge. So find that sweet spot where you can visually gauge your seam allowance so you will have a nice and even stitches. Now take your back exterior piece and lay that right side up, and then take the zipper and lay that right side down, and then take the lining piece and lay that right side down. Secure everything with some fabric clips and then go ahead and sew with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Now open up the sandwich, press the edges, and then go ahead and top stitch. Trim off any excess zipper. Now unzip your zipper and stop 1 inch before the edge so you won't miss your zipper pull. Now separate the exterior from the lining, so the right side of the exterior shells should be touching each other and the right side of the lining should be touching each other. Now secure everything with some fabric clips. I like to match the zipper seams first and then make my way around. Now sew all around with 1/2 inch of seam allowance, leaving about 4 inches of opening at the bottom of the lining. Cut all the corners. Be careful not to cut through the stitches though. And then go ahead and turn this piece inside out through the opening hole. Now fold the raw edges of the opening hole in about 1/2 inch and then go ahead and stitch that close. And once you've done that, place the lining back inside, and the clutch is pretty much done at this point. Now we're going to work on the wristlet strap. So prepare your strap piece and the swivel hook as well. So the swivel hook should be measuring 1/2 inch inside. Fold the strap in half and then press. Now open the fold and then fold the edges towards the center fold and then press. And then fold everything in half and then press. Feed the strap through the swivel hook and then open the fold of both edges and then meet them right side together, just like so, making sure that your strap is not twisted, and then go ahead and sew with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Once you've done sewing, go ahead and press the seams open just like that, and then fold the strap back. If necessary, you can press it again. Then you want to sew along the edges with 1/8 of an inch of seam allowance, starting from the open edges first. Remove your sewing machine sleeve or any extension table, and then go ahead and sew, moving the swivel hook out of the way as you sew. Now position the swivel hook where the seams of the end of the straps, and then go ahead and sew as close as you can to the swivel hook, about 1/2 inch away. And voila, the wristlet strap is done. Now you can attach this either to the D-ring, just like that, or you can also attach this to the zipper pull, just like so. So that's all I have for you for this charming project episodes. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this video served you well, and I'll just see you next time with another fun sewing and quilting project. Goodbye!